hurt. We've got a wreck. The driver looks okay. There's a wreck. Debris all over the track.
Hey there cats, good time of the day to you and thank you very much for tuning into my channel. This game on your screen is Crash and Burn from 2004 I believe, and you know, I don't even know where to start, but this game really hooked me on. I've ignored it. I found it on IGCD when I was looking for the games with muscle cars, and I've ignored it because well, on IGCD this game only has like 4 cars, and it really only has 4 cars. But thing is, every single one of those 4 cars, it has customization like in Midnight Club 3. So there's a lot of fronts and rears for the same car. And so I've ended up to make 6 muscle cars, 2 pickups, and well, 1 compact and 1 sport just for the kids. But man, 6 muscle cars, that's a lot. That's really a lot. The game offers awesome customization, so if you value customization and if you love muscle cars, you can build some very cool muscle cars in Crash and Burn. The amount of customization is very surprising for the vehicular combat kind of a game, because you know, Flatout, Burnout, Motorstorm, none of those have any kind of customization whatsoever. Crash and Burn, even though it has 4 cars, it has monstrous amount for customization for each and every one of them. Well, you know, maybe not monstrous, but because there are only like rims, hood, spoiler, front, rear, side skirts, but still, that's a lot. There are a lot of vinyls, you can pick any color you want, that's crazy, you know, I mean, it's not just color palette like in early Undergrounds, you can pick any color for your car, full RGB, you know, spectrum of colors. So that's really awesome, and I don't know, after that I gotta say that it didn't look like, you know, like anything promising or something when I've started this game, but this game eventually turned out to be like tons of fun. This action you see on the screen, I don't know if it looks as good as it plays, but when you play it, it is fucking amazing, man. This is some awesome vehicular carnage going on here. And the game, well, I don't know, probably I should start with minuses. Well, you know, compared to Flatout 2, the game definitely doesn't do enough damage on actual, you know, when you actually ram the other cars. The biggest amount of damage comes to your car from the fire and from the collision with the walls, and especially a lot of damage comes when the car lands on the roof after the unsuccessful jump or after a particularly well ramming maneuver, you know. But thing is, even though it could use some polish in these areas, I mean, Flatout did those things much better, and look at this now. Like, I've rammed McPhee and he is wrecked, but I do not get a wrecking bonus because according to the game I didn't wreck them. I'm pretty sure Flatout would have counted this as you know, as a point to my score, because I think it's pretty much my ramming that wrecked McPhee, and Flatout somehow, as far as I remember at least, managed to process all those collisions nicely and award the player for wrecking the rival's car correctly. This game, in this game, in Crash and Burn, in order to get a wrecking bonus, you gotta get kinda lucky, and as I've said, wrecking doesn't really do much damage at all. But even though the whole mechanics could use a lot of polish, well, not a lot, but some polish, still, it is incredibly fun to do, you know, to inflict damage on the opponents, even though you do not get a proper wrecking bonus, but still, it's quite a lot of fun, this section, you know. By the end of the day, I wish this game had more, you know, more cars, more tracks, more everything, because, yeah, in the end of it, the game is kinda small. Even with all the customization, 4 cars is just 4 cars and tracks, I believe this game has like 9 tracks, and each of those tracks has like 2 basic variants and then some. We'll get to it. We'll get back to this topic a bit later, but still, just 9 tracks and 4 cars. Even though it's tons of fun, and I've played this game for like at least, actually I've played it for a month. Yeah, I've started back at the start of the November, so yeah, that was a whole month of fun. And you know, I really didn't have so much fun losing in a racing game since Flat Out, because despite the fact that the game doesn't really award you the proper bonuses for wreckage, even though you simply finish the track and do some stuff on it, you get quite a hefty sum of money. And winning, well, it adds some, but overall, even losing earns you a hefty sum of money, and money are quite important there, because there's so much customization in the game which you gotta buy for your cars, that the campaign, because after all they only have 9 tracks, so the campaign is not that long by default. By the end of the campaign you still have a lot of parts to buy for your cars. The good thing though is that even single player races award you money for participating in them, and the game has a single money pool for both campaign and single player and whatever. And this is one thing they've done rather nicely, and so I really had a lot of fun even losing in this game. It's awesome. It's just really awesome automotive action, and Crash and Burn is amazing, really. If you've, like me, overlooked this game to this point, I'm telling you, it's about time to try it. And just look at all the madness that goes on the screen. It's freaking awesome, man. I really can't describe it anything by any other word other than awesome. This game does something absolutely right, despite everything, all my opinions that I list here, or the minuses that I think are minuses. Some stuff the game does totally correct, and yeah, I've got hooked on it, and at least one friend of mine got hooked on it, and he said pretty much the same thing, that this is something about this game. You just want to play it, and you know that the game did thing right, the developers did something right when you just want to fucking play the game. Oh yeah. And what can I say? Surprisingly, there's a lot of racing in this game. Even though in this video I only use, back onto the topic of tracks. There are like, as I've said, there are 9 tracks, and I'm using not the basic variations of the tracks, but mostly I'm using, as this track are called hard something. They're X, variation X. Variation X is a variation that adds some, you see those hazard painted bumps on the edge of the tracks, the tramplines, jumps, jumps. So you don't get your usual track in the X variant, you get this extra dangerous kind of track, and there's a lot of destruction going on. And I really think that usual tracks kinda suck. I really like X variants, or at least when I race on the usual tracks I try to make the game a kamikaze game. That was this is right now is a kamikaze race, when half of the pack goes forward and half of the pack goes back. Kamikaze races are tons of fun, and boy, usual tracks, when you do not pick an X track or a K track, kamikaze track, and just go for the usual race, there's a surprising amount of racing going on in that kind of a game, because your opponents are actually pretty damn, sturdy, and they do not wreck that easily. And they are also quite fast. So, if you are racing on the usual track, the game is actually a race. You have to dose your nitros, you have to lean into the curves, into the turns, and all that stuff. It is, after all, is a racing game, and car physics are rather nice, It really works, and now it is time to talk about the oil and fire that you can see on the track. And before actually discussing them, I gotta say, just don't you feel how creative games were back in 2004? Back in the early 2000s in general, everyone in their racing game tried to try something new, flat out invented that mechanic when you flew out of the windshield, and that was fun, ragdoll, simple fun. And then Burnout tried to add traffic check in Burnout Revenge, and then there was, you know, Motorstorm. It was kind of stuff on its own, especially in Pacific Rift, where it tried to add that mechanic where you can overload your nitros, blow up, and take out opponents with it. Kind of like a revenge mechanic, but it's not a one press of a button, but you gotta build up your nitros, overheat your engine, and explode. So yeah, and this game, it is kind of creative as well, because it has this oil and fuel spill mechanic. When you ram your opponent, even a wrecked ones, as far as I can say, there's a chance his car will spill either oil or fuel, so these things are actually randomized every time you race. And fuel, by default, it is when it is spilled, it is simply a spill. It doesn't do anything. But thing is, pretty much every spark from, like you see in front of me, from vehicles, bottling, or when you push your nitros, or I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure when the engine backfires, like this, as you can see, when I press the brakes, my engine backfires. I think all of it can light up the fuel spill, and so it will be a permanent wall of flame. And as I've said, flame is actually one of the main things that damage your car in this game. And so, boy, this is what makes these races interesting. Even though you have 9 tracks, every time you race on a track, you gotta, if you wanna race it good, you gotta create new curves, even on straight lines, because you gotta avoid the flame, man. And in a lot of narrow tracks like this one, like Detroit, it is quite common that the fuel simply like crosses the whole track, and there's no way to avoid it, no way to avoid the flame. And if it happens, this is gonna be one hell of a race. This is gonna be a race with a lot of wrecks, because flame damages car really quick, really fast. The only plus here is that the flame damages your car until you have like 1/10 of it, and after that the flame stops doing damage to your car. But until then, it does solid damage, and very fast it drains the health of your car, both your car and the car of your opponents. So yeah, 3 or 4 laps, and if there is a wall of flame that crosses the whole track, an avoidable one, it is pretty much guaranteed that the cars will race at the minimum health for the remaining laps. So yeah, not everyone will finish, that's for sure. And boy, what can I say? If you learn to avoid the flame and actually avoid it, especially in the longer races like 10-lap races, you can be the king of this game. And AI actually knows it. A lot of AI, and we'll get to the AI a bit later again, but a lot of AI avoids flame quite nicely, and they're quite good at it as well. So you gotta remember this if you're gonna play this game. You gotta avoid flames. This is like thing you gotta master. And once again, this is what makes this game so fun. You gotta create new curves even on straight lines, because flames, you gotta avoid them. And oil spills, of course. Well, I guess this is self-explanatory. Where the oil spills the car, if you cross the oil spill for a rather short limited amount of time, it lowers its grip with the surface. And oil can be spilled either in a good way or in the bad way. The good way is when it is spilled before some particularly hard turn, so you can drift into the turn rather nicely. And bad spill is if the oil is spilled somewhere in the middle of the turn, so you have to kind of be very careful when you come out of the turn. All of it, once again, makes it necessary to adjust your curves every time you launch the track. Even on the same track, the oil and flame can prove it necessary to create a very different racing line, and this is awesome. Really, these are awesome mechanics. I'm very surprised because to my knowledge at least, I'm very surprised that to my knowledge nobody tried to copy them, because they are awesome. Once again, yeah. So Crash and Burn is an amazing example how you can make a lot out of very little stuff. Just 4 cars, but tons of customization. Just 9 tracks, but they're pretty much different every time you launch them, and all of it works just awesomely. To the point. Really good, man. Really good. Love this game. Really. That's just something amazing. Oh boy. So now I guess I should talk a bit about the AI. And what can I say? AI, I'm not sure if it is random or if it is fixed somewhere in the code, but AI racers, some of them get a lot of health and they're basically tanks, while other races, they are pretty much paper thin and get wrecked at the very start of the race. I am like 100% sure that the racers have a different amount of health. I will pinpoint that a bit later in the video. And once again, I'm just not sure if it is a fixed amount for the racers, because every racer is named in this game, so perhaps it is a fixed amount for every racer. For every named racer, it is probably fixed how much health he got, or if it is decided by some kind of straw picking in the code by RNG every time you launch a race. And it is also can be said that there are racers who drive better than the others, just like in, say, Flat Out. In fact, I really think the closest comparison of Crash and Burn is Flat Out, at least in my opinion. And so yeah, as I've said, some racers drive more accurately, some racers drive faster than the others. It of course also depends on the car they picked for the particular race, because each racer gets a different car of a different class for every race. Gets a car of a different class for every race, yeah, but in general some of them drive better than the others. And the point is, some of those racers are really good at avoiding flame and oil and are really good drivers. Some are not a threat at all, but some of them are, boy, very annoying. I especially hate that guy whose pickup I've rammed on the previous lap. There it is, in the corner right now. His name is Wilding, and boy, I hate this guy. He's like Jack Benton, but his name is Wilding. He avoids combat and he has a lot of health every time you see them, and he's good at driving. In general, there will always be an AI who starts in the very first line, who will avoid combat, and who by starting at the very first line will get some distance from you really fast, and you will have to catch up with him during the race. And yeah, this is really annoying during the usual races. Oh boy, some more oil in this chicane and US Army will have to invade it. Damn it. That was really bad oil spill before the finish line. So yeah, what I want to say is that usual races, once again, usual races are really races. And I'm not sure, it kind of works, but at the same time I kind of dislike it. I really do not play this game to catch up with Wilding for 10 laps and try to catch him up with a pickup while he drives a sports car, no. So in this game I like X tracks and K tracks, yeah, these are my favorite, maximum carnage, awesome stuff. I just love it. And what can I say? In this video I haven't even done any modding. Someone in the comments, some of my subscribers, thank you very much for this by the way, asked me to record some kamikaze races, and I thought, yeah, why not? I'll record a kamikaze race and some like 4 kamikaze races and 4 X races with every car I have. Well, except for Compact and Sport, because I don't like those much, but overall, it's so good that I didn't even do much modding. The only thing I did is I fixed the amount of laps with cheat engine. The thing is, in career mode this game has 6, 8 and 10 laps, and see, 6 laps is pretty much normal race, it's okay race. 8 laps is an ideal race in my opinion, because it is an ideal amount of laps that ensures the maximal amount of carnage while not making race last a bit too long. And well, 10 laps is pretty much an endurance run, in this game, because surviving for 10 laps is darn hard. So 8 laps, ideal amount of laps. And the problem is, in the single player, for whatever reason, you can only increase the amount of laps by 5. So it starts with 5 laps, then you can change it to 10, 15, 20, oh boy. Why would anyone ever select 20 laps in this game? I don't know. But that's how it works. For whatever reason, you cannot select any amount of laps that are used in the career. You cannot select 6, 8 or 10 without... Oh well, you can select 10. You cannot select 6 or 8 without cheat engine. And since I've liked 8 laps, yeah, I've used cheat engine to select 8. And even then, just look at this. It's 3rd lap and I've already crashed them all. Yeah, pardon me, cats, that will be 5 laps at riding alone. Probably should have stuck to 6 after all, but 5 laps is definitely not enough. This I can say for sure. 6 laps, well, maybe. I think 8 laps are just alright. Well, maybe 7. Maybe I should have set them to 7. You know, golden middle ground, something like that. And as you can see, this game doesn't quite respawn you when you turn around and just turn usual race into kamikaze race. This is one thing that this game does awesomely. There are no respawns. If you want to turn around and meet your opponents head on, just do it, nobody gonna stop you. And this is awesome. As you can see, I'm winning a lot of races just by turning around, crashing my opponents and then finishing alone. Maybe it doesn't look adrenaline packed, I don't know, but it definitely does work in this game. In fact, I'm quite disappointed that there is an AI quirk which makes several AI drivers to lose their temper and just turn around and turn the race into apocalypse. That would have worked, or at least I think so. Probably would have been annoying, probably could have made it into options as an option that you can turn off. You know, like AI quirks on, off, something like that. But I think if AI drivers would have done it, it could work just fine. Oh boy, it is fun either way. And another thing, as you could have seen on the Detroit track, is actually in the tracks with narrow spaces. Miami is one of those tracks as well, and I've did it several times here. Another legitimate strategy is actually to pack a narrow space with the wreckages of your opponents, because collision with wreckage is just something akin to a collision with the wall. So if there's a narrow space like a tunnel in Detroit, there's a place where it will work really, really well. Just push your opponents, the wreckages of your opponents, into this narrow space, and watch those of your opponents who are still on the track crash themselves to bits. Yeah, this strategy works. This game is pretty much tactical racing destruction, something like that. Strategical destructive racing, something along those lines. It's crazy. It's crazy how much things work in this game. And the only thing you gotta be sure of is, just be sure that you will have enough health to make it through the wreckages yourself after all of your opponents are done for. Oh, so yeah, Crash and Burn, cats. Awesome game, awesome game. And to make it for the remaining time of the video, I gotta say that recently I've stumbled on a YouTube video, which I will, I guess, share in the description, which discussed the fictional vehicles in video games and how they are generally seen as inferior in to the actual real-time vehicles, and how it is not right. And you know what? That video provoked a lot of thoughts in me, and I don't even know where to start. But you know, I remember that as a kid I didn't care if the vehicle was fictional or not. Just if the vehicle was cool, if the toy car was cool, I liked it. And when I was a teen, something just clicked, and fictional vehicles indeed lost their appeal, so to say, and I really started to look forward for real vehicles. So I don't even know why, but it just happened. I don't know, it made me think maybe teens are really acceptable to the brand mentality or something, and this world kind of attempts to imprint brand mentality on you at any turn, and maybe teens are really acceptable to that. But for whatever reason, when I was a teenager, I've lost my love for fictional vehicles. Good thing is that I've managed to reclaim it when I was like 20 something, but well, as I grew up, I've started appreciating fictional cars again. And you know what? Fictional cars, they're much more creative than your usual cars. I mean, you gotta understand, people who create fictional vehicles, it's like creating a concept car. It will never be a real car, but if a man creates a car, I mean, just look at these muscle cars of mine in this game. They're awesome. Guys who created them definitely like muscle cars. And other cars as well, because these cars are amazing. I mean, all of cars here are amazing. Even though I dislike compacts, the compact I've built is quite cool. It is asymmetrical, it has an air filter sticking out of front bumper, it's cool. People who created this stuff, they really liked cars. In fact, people who create fictional cars, they have more freedom. They do not have to care about the market, about selling those cars. People who created muscle cars for Crash and Burn could create muscle cars in year 2000. They could create a muscle car straight out of 70s for the year 2000. They are out of time. They are free to create whatever they want. And so fictional cars, they are much more versatile, much more creative, much more everything that a real car can ever be. And I really can't emphasize how much a fictional car can be. It's like, I don't know, speaking about of concept cars, concept cars, yeah, let's speak about concept cars for a moment. Just how much have you seen them? I'll name several names and just Google for them if you're interested. Oh, I don't know, ask me in the comments. By the way, thank you very much to everyone who writes in the comments. Thanks to everyone who drops me a commentary, even a short one, even a nonsense, but a man can talk to himself only for so long, All kind of activity that is in the comments, I really appreciate it. So, if you're interested in the following names, just drop me a comment and I'll upload some photos for you somewhere. Here, concept cars: Ford Tridon, Mercury Cougar Elgato, Cadillac NART, NSU Trapeze, or Trapeze, I'm not sure, Trapeze, something like that, Vauxhall SRV. All those concept cars, which are pretty much unheard of, they are amazing. And none of them ever made it to the, to the production line. And there's something in the production cars which has to be optimized, so concept cars, they're pretty much fictional cars. You do not care about optimization at that point, you just care about making a beautiful car. Concept cars pretty much show cars, They're showcasing your creativity, the creativity of the designer. They're showcasing the technical, how to call it, technical majesty of the machine, they're pretty much fictional cars. Fictional cars can go even further, you know. Fictional cars can have like 6 wheels, like that crazy car out of Rock and Roll Racing 2, which has like, I don't know, like 12 wheels with several with rear axles having 6 wheels, two rear axles and 6 wheels on each axle. That's crazy. Or custom cars, you know, probably what made me appreciate fictional cars again are my love for hot rods, because hot rods are pretty much concept cars, pretty much fictional cars. Hot rods are crazy amalgamation of all the cars out there which were cut and then welded together. Like there's a hot rod named Shoe This, it is awesome. Shoe This is a hot rod which has front half of Ford Model T, rear half of 51 Ford, and an engine out of V6 Buick, and it has a griffin as its hood ornament, and it is painted in white with gold accents, you know, such creamy white. It is awesome. And hot rod is pretty much a fictional car, because in fact I've never seen a hot rod in my life. They're pretty much fictional cars to me, you know. And even for those of you who saw hot rods, you probably do not see them too often, especially nowadays. Either way, my love for hot rods probably revitalized my love for hot rods, and custom cars probably revitalized my love for custom cars, for fictional cars in general. And factory cars, they just do not cut it, you know, in my opinion at least. Oh, by the way, I completely forgot to say it, but okay, if you'll now rewind to the very start of the race, you can see how quickly, I believe Hassan, it was Hassan, you can see how quickly Hassan was wrecked. And this was my illustration to the point that AI racers in this game have different health points, different amount of health points, because Hassan, he barely made it to the first turn before being wrecked, you know. He was wrecked extremely quickly, he was paper thin. And well, back on topic of fictional cars, well, what can I say? Yeah, my love for hot rods and custom cars. For Hot Wheels, you know, Hot Wheels are amazing as well. Some people probably do not know, but a lot of people who designed Hot Wheels actually designed custom cars and other stuff. Like I have probably my favorite miniatures I have, Hot Wheels miniatures I have, are a full pack of Ed Newton's Low Boys, and this is awesome. Ed Newton is a guy who designed some awesome cars with Ed Big Daddy Roth. And if you don't know who Ed Big Daddy Roth is, you're obviously a bit too far from the custom culture, but Big Daddy is a legend. And Ed Newton worked with him, designed some custom cars as well himself. And those cars are outlandish. And Low Boys line, designed by Ed Newton, is just as amazing. They are those retro cars like Tucker Torpedo, but reimagined for the future, and they have this awesome 90s feeling to them, and this is just perfect mix of retro and future parts, you know. Ed Newton's Low Boys is amazing thing, and I just love those 3 cars. They're Mercoholic, Tree Clubs, and I don't remember the name of the third one, but they're just awesome. Even though they're just 1/64 models, they just look so amazing, and it just makes you wish those cars were real. And I believe all 3 of them actually has engine modeled inside as well, and yeah, I'm just crazy about cars, guys, yeah. So pardon me about that. And talking about fictional cars, I cannot not to name the game which probably done the best fictional vehicles in the best way possible, and this is of course the Ridge Racer series. Because factories in Ridge Racer, they had their own stories, they close between different entries, they are bought out by different brands, and you have multiple generations of the same car. For example, Denver Bayonet had at least 3 versions. First one back under the Leeson brand, and the later 2 being Denver Bayonets. And so fictional cars in Ridge Racer have actual history, actual backgrounds, both in-game and real one, you know, since when you drive the new Hijack in your series, you know you drove the previous gen of the same model 3 games ago. And this is awesome. Ridge Racer overall feel very much like a game where you are just race car drivers. And while sponsors, brands and managers are fighting their own battles somewhere on the background, you're just a driver. You drive the car in a race. So Ridge Racer gets a special medal from me, so to say, for handling fictional vehicles. That's some real cool stuff going on. And well, video comes to a close. Where are we? Lap 5 out of 8. Oh boy, Tracy on a compact. I hate compacts, man. Those lousy nimble. Oh yeah, just like that. Just like that. Those lousy nimble compacts, man. Oh boy. And well, Tracy went out. And Shepard as well, and I'm alone. Oh boy. I'm really surprised that I finished alone in the Grand Canyon race, you know, because usually in Grand Canyon at least somebody stays alive. But well, not this time. In fact, this video I've recorded it very quickly. Pretty much every race, save for surprisingly Las Vegas race, I've did with my very first try, which is just beyond me. I didn't expect it to be this easy to record these races. So I guess I've mastered this game, and it is time for me to finish, lay it aside, and probably return for Racer 2 later, but for now I guess this is the end of my Crash and Burn career. One more thing I want to say: if you're gonna play this game in the single player, be sure to set AI to 100% difficulty. Lower difficulties are just not that fun. AI will be slower, it will be, but it will also do less mistakes, hit less walls, etc, etc, and so there will be less distraction on the track. So yeah, heed my word, set AI to 100%. They will be faster, but they will be more chaos, more carnage, more destruction, more fun for you in Crash and Burn. And I guess with this we come to an end. Stay tuned for more, thanks for being with me, and well, good luck!